Hello and welcome to Build a Website from Scratch. In this series we're using Winter CMS to build a website for a fictitious construction company. And you may remember in the last episode we introduced a contact form. Now this contact form works, but it's pretty ugly, so how about we start fixing this up. The first thing I'm going to start with is this button. Now I've got my developer tools open down here, and let's just have a look and see what it looks. So we've got our button, and of course we put in a class of button primary, so we can have a play around with that in our code editor. Under our template we've got our themes, Acme, and we've got all our files sitting here in resources. Under SAS there's already a blank component here for buttons. Now how about we fill that out. Let's make a start with that, and we've got button primary, and what do we need to do with that button? Well, we need to give it a background, and we'll make that spelt correctly. we'll make that the brand color, so that greeny color. And give it a color of white. And let's just save that and see what that looks like. Refresh. There we go. So we've got our green, white, and need to add a few bits and pieces to make this look a bit nicer. Back into here. I guess the next thing to do is we'll give it a border. And we'll make that 1 pixel solid. And the colour, we'll use RGBA, and that's going to be 0 there, 0, 0, 0, and we'll give it an opacity of about half. Now we'll give a border radius. About a quarter of a rem. Let's see what that gives us. Yeah, that's getting there. And we need to give it some padding just to tidy it up. So let's do that. Padding, we'll give it top and bottom, we'll give it half a rem, and left and right 2 rem. That's to give us a standard cut of a button. And let's have a look and see how that's going. Yep, that's not too bad. And probably could do with a hover state on that as well. So let's do that. We'll using SAS, so we use the ampersand, tells us that it's the primary button that we're using, and we're using the hover status. And what are we going to do with that? We'll change the background colour to that dark grey colour. And we've already got a variable for dark grey. And I think that's going to give it a transition as well. Transition on everything, and we'll make it 300 milliseconds, and we'll just give it an ease transition. How's that looking? And yep, there's a bit of a delay in there. That's good. That's the button dealt with. Let's deal with this form. Right, so what we've got here, we just have a look in our, we've got input ID, and that's wrapped by a form group. Okay, I think we can do something with that. I'll head over to here and we'll create a new file in our SAS components, and let's call that contact form. Underscored, so it's a partial form, and here we go, contact form, and we'll make the background color pink, and we need to pull that into our main style. It's down to our style sheet, components, cards, and right. Let's see if SAS has picked that up. And of course it hasn't, because we haven't actually given it a class. So we'll get into our back end, and I've just moved into my small plugins contact form here. Now if I give that a class, form, and save that. Head back to here. There we go. So we've now got that targeted. Okay, let's have a look at these form group things here. So form group, we've already got our contact form. Target that, and let's do the good old border one, pixel red solid. Let's have a look. Yeah, control label, that's what we need to play with. Okay, so control label, and give that a min width, not none. We want to make it about 7 rem. Yes, it's actually, that lines up all right. And this button needs to be moved over. What's the button? See. And it's button primary inside here. So we'll do button primary inside the form group. So it only applies to this particular button primary. And margin left. We'll do 7. I suspect it's probably going to need to be a little bit more because of the gap. Make it 8. Too much. I'll try 6 here. Yep, that's pretty good. Could probably come over just a fraction more, but I think we can get away with that. One other thing to look at here is how does it work for mobile. We probably could do with these being on top of each other and these spread out on our smaller screens. So let's do that. We need a media query. Media needs to be for a screen, and min width. Now we've got a variable for our width set up, haven't we? Let's just check that we have. Here we go. Yep. Medium and above is probably going to be good. Back to our contact form. So map get, and we're dealing with the breakpoints variable, and we want it larger than the medium. And what are we going to do with that? Our form group, at the moment we need to probably change the flex direction. It's probably going to make a difference. On the wider versions, flex direction is going to be row, and of course on the narrower versions, column. So getting us near where we want to be. Yep, that's no change there. And yep, that's kind of done what we're after here. This button, we can probably get rid of that the margin there, and we can probably do that by grabbing this margin from here, putting it in here so it only applies when that's done. How's that? Yep, that's actually not too bad. Now go back to our wide version again. Yep, let's get rid of all this other stuff, clean it up. So cleaning it up, we don't need the red borders anymore, and we're not using the contact form one, so we can get rid of that as well. Let's just format that, make it look nice. There we go. And back to our site refresh. Okay, so we've got something, that's a definite improvement. And there we've got a responsive form that's reasonably well laid out.